To be or not to be? No, I'm not going into Hamlet. This is not what I'm here for. So I'm going to ask you whether you want to be a mentor or whether you don't feel you want to be a mentor. In Toastmasters, which is a voluntary organisation, they have and encourage mentorship within the clubs to help members make the most of their membership. And sometimes you find, as a voluntary organisation, there aren't always the opportunities to become a mentor. But I'd like to reflect on moments where, in my past, I've been a mentee, so I've experienced mentorship, and then moving forward, and then I'm going to contemplate how I could potentially become a mentor. So, if we go back to my instances of examples of being a mentee, I've been lucky to have two experiences that are quite clear in my mind, which I'd like to share with you. The first is in my teens, so this might suit Scarlett in that when I was in year 10 or 11, there's a voluntary organisation called Young Enterprise, which helps encourage entrepreneurship within school-aged children, and they connect the business community with a cohort of students and encourage them to create products or service or something that they can kind of sell and put into practice different skills that they learn along the way from the business advisors. And at the moment, in my thinking back to one of my experiences, so imagine kind of a 13, 14-year-old me, probably looking younger than I am now, but still pretty much the same height because I didn't have a growth spurt. And we were a group of about 7 or 8 teenagers in a room arguing about what we want to do, what product we want to sell, and kind of no cohesion of thought and processes. And then this kind of business advisor guy, and he was quite friendly and really helpful, and patience like anything, being able to like guide us through, kind of encouraging us to like listen to each other, take on ideas and not kind of speak over each other. And through a process of, I think it's probably an academic year, September through to July, we evolved from being kind of a room full of unruly teenagers to still a room full of unruly teenagers, but probably slightly better at listening to each other and gaining skills in kind of how to communicate with the public when we went to sell products. We were in Cascades at the time in Portsmouth. We even entered a competition and got through to the first stage with kind of telling the Young Enterprise company, the advisors or volunteers, like what we did, what we learned, and reflecting on our experience. So that was one of my early experiences. My next experience was much later on, when I was becoming a surveyor, and I was lucky enough to meet a sole practitioner who was able to provide me with work experience. His name was Vic Ray, and he was pretty much quite ahead of his time. So I was a graduate student. I wrote to all the local companies, please can you, if there's any work experience you can give to me, I'd really like to learn what I've studied and put into practice. And a few replies came back saying, sorry, we've got no space. Oh, sorry, maybe next year. But this chap wrote back and said, yes, you're welcome to come and work experience with me, but I do work from home. So Ray and Co. was just Ray, or Vic Ray. And he was very much ahead of his time, obviously remote working. This was before, in 2006, pre-pandemic. But he said, if I don't have any luck, then if I'm happy to work alongside him, I can do that. And it was very lovely of him and to welcome me into his kind of pretty much his home. And he guided me and took me on outings to inspect lofts and kind of go into gardens and trudge through the mud, sometimes measuring with a tape measure. In 2006 it was pre-lasers, and it was really kind of showed kind of his wisdom and his generosity of time and spirit. And he guided me from 2006 all the way through my career so far. And sadly, he did pass away in 2022, and he's very greatly missed. And so that was me being a mentee. And when you look back, possibly when I was a teenager, I didn't quite appreciate it at the time, but when I look back, there were great opportunities, building skills, communication skills, leadership skills, and being able to, I suppose, take those experiences through to kind of adult life and beyond is really kind of invaluable. And then moving on to kind of the present time, and I'm thinking, how can I be a mentor? So apart from being in Toastmasters, I believe if you have finished your one whole pathway, then you can be a mentor. So I'm at level 2 at the minute, so not quite there. But I've also been made aware of, through kind of my business connections, there's a charity organisation called the Girls Network. And again, I think some other member has taken part, and I've spoken to other people who have been mentors. And this is an organisation that kind of connects female role models with female pupils in schools that are potentially lacking in role models of their own. And I find this really interesting. And at the moment, I don't feel I'm quite there to be a mentor, but I certainly encourage people who think they can give back or give to the community. That would be something that I would probably explore in the future. But as I say, from being a mentee to being a mentor, whether not quite from at the moment asking myself these questions, but maybe to ask you whether is it to be or not to be a mentor for your own consideration and your own opportunities.